Great. Well, it's good to see everybody back and good to see some new people joining us today as well. The session is recorded, so you can revisit the class at the end if you would like. Okay, so we're going to get started. I'm just going to move my chair back so you can see me. Okay, so we're going to start by sitting up nice and tall, thinking about elongating your spine to the ceiling. Good. And from here, we're just going to start by rolling our shoulders back. Sort of like drawing a big circle with those shoulders, bring them up to your ears, and then rolling them back. Good. As big of a movement as you can make it. That's it. So remember, for today's class, nothing's going to be too quick. You're doing everything at your own pace, because for this hand and dexterity class, it's not so much about speed, it's more about the technique of you doing things. From here, we're going to add on. We're going to now roll the elbows back. So you're rolling the elbow back in a circle, keeping those shoulders down away from the ears. And from here, you're going to bring the entire arms back, circling the arms. Now, if your shoulders are a little bit stiff and you can't quite go all the way up, that's okay. You can go out to the side as well. Draw as big of a circle that you're comfortable drawing. I can see here that there's a question about why you can't see the participants. It's because everybody's cameras are shut off. So I've got a list of people in the session today, but you won't be able to see them. And part of the reason is because if you can see everybody, then we can't record the session for confidentiality reasons. Okay, and then we're going to circle the arms forward. So again, drawing a circle just as big as you can comfortably, so you don't have to bring your arms all the way up if you can't quite do that. Good. And we're going to go back to our elbows, circling forward. So we're still sitting up nice and tall, right? So we're not starting to lean to one side. We're still sitting up nice and tall as we're rolling the elbows. Good. And then we're going to drop the elbows and return to just the shoulders rolling forward. Big circle with those shoulders, warming everything up. Good. And rest. From here, we're still sitting up nice and tall. We're going to turn our head to one side. So you're still sitting up nice and tall, breast going forward, turning the head over to one side to give your neck a bit of a stretch. And then we're going to go to the other side. Good, back to the middle, again to the side. So stretching that neck, turning to one side just as far as you are able to. Back to the middle, and then the other side. Good, one more each side. And last time, the other side. Good. This time you're going to keep your nose forward, but you're going to bring one ear to your shoulder like so, keeping those shoulders down. So we're not lifting the shoulder. We're just bringing that ear to the shoulder. So you're stretching the side of your neck. Good. Back to the middle and tipping to the other side. So same thing, keeping your nose facing forward, stretching the side of your neck. One more each side. Keeping the shoulders down if you can. And last time, the other side. Good. We're going to bring one arm forward, palm facing up. It doesn't have to be quite as high as what I'm doing. You can have it lower down or resting on a table if you would like. But you're going to have the arm extended with the palm facing up. You're going to take your other hand and you're going to gently wake up all the joints and muscles in the arm by patting your arm all the way down to the fingertips. And then we're coming all the way back up. So you're not patting very hard, but you're just giving yourself a bit of a vibration through those joints and muscles so our brain can remember our arms and hands are still here. Good. Okay, and now we're gonna switch to the other hand, extend the arm, palm facing up, same thing, your other hand, you're patting all the way down. Creating a little bit of vibration, a little bit of sensation in the arms. And then one more time, all the way down. Don't forget the thumb, the palm, and the tips of the fingers. Good. And then we're gonna flip the hand the other way so the palm is facing down. And we're gonna do the same thing starting at the top of the shoulder, all the way down. Making sure that we're sitting up nice and tall still, right? So we're not going into the slouched position. And coming all the way back up. Good. Good, and now you're gonna put both of your hands across your chest. Using your hands here, you're going to squeeze down the length of your arms. Giving yourself a good squeeze all the way to the hands. Good, and you're gonna go all the way back up. So you're just trying to squeeze as much of the muscles in your arms as you can, just to wake everything up a little bit and draw some attention to these muscles from your brain. Good. And then we're gonna do that again, all the way down the arms. You're going to squeeze as many of these muscles as you can, all the way to the fingers. Good. And all the way back up. Good, and rest. Okay, last one. We're going to start with our hands and fists. You're gonna put your hands by your chest. From here, you're going to imagine you're pushing something really heavy away from you. So you're gonna push your arms forward, spreading those fingers nice and wide. And then you're imagining you're grabbing something and pulling it back towards you. Again, we're gonna push the arms forward, spreading those fingers nice and wide, and then we're gonna grab and pull back towards us. And again, push away from us, fingers nice and wide, grab and pull back towards us. Good, one more. You're gonna push those arms forward, spreading those fingers nice and wide, grab and pull back towards us and rest. Good, I'm gonna come forward. So now you can see my hands. Okay, so I've got a table in front of me here that you can't see on camera. So if you're somebody who would like to have a table in front of you to support your arms during the session, please feel free. First thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna take one of our hands, doesn't matter which one because we'll do both anyway. We're gonna take one of our hands in front of us like so. You can feel free to have your arm resting on the table if you would like. We're gonna sit up nice and tall, right? So we're not slouching, we're sitting up nice and tall so that our spine is stacked nicely one on top of the other, which will then put our shoulder blades in a good position, which will then allow more strength to go into our hand. Okay. We're gonna start by squeezing our hand into a fist as tight as you can. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. We're gonna hold it here for 3, 2, 1. And you're gonna spread the hand as wide as you can. As wide as the fingers will go. Imagine the fingertips, there's light coming out of them and they're pointing in every direction in the room. Good. And again, closing the hand, squeeze as hard as you can, hold it for 3, 2, 1, and open. Open the hand as wide as you can. Good, palm nice and wide. And again, coming back in, really making your hand as small as you can, squeezing here for 3, 2, 1, and then you're opening the hand as wide as it'll go. So you'll see that I've opened so wide that some of my skin has gone white. I want to see that on everybody's hands. And again, coming back in, squeezing with all your might, holding for 3, 2, 1, and opening the hand as wide as it'll go. Make sure all the fingers are separate and relax. Good. Other hand, same thing. Feel free to have your arm resting on a table if you would like. Okay, so we're gonna bring our hand into a fist. So imagine you're grabbing hold of something in your hand and you're squeezing as hard as you can for 3, 2, 1, and then you're opening as wide as you can, spreading those fingers, making sure there's space between each finger, straightening them out. Good. And again, we come in, make the hand as small as you can. Notice how my thumb is on the outside when I'm squeezing. Squeeze as hard as you can for 3, 2, 1, and open as wide as your hand will go. Really straightening out all the fingers. Imagine little rays of light coming out of each end of your fingertips, pointing everywhere in the room. Good. And again, coming back in. Make a fist, squeeze as hard as you can for 3, 2, 1, and open the hand nice and wide, spreading those fingers out, fingers straight, gaps between the fingers. Good. And again, coming back in, squeeze as hard as you can for 3, 2, 1, and spread the hand, opening the fingers nice and wide. Good. Last one, coming back in. We're squeezing our hand into this tiny fist for 3, 2, 1, and open, spreading those fingers as wide as they'll go. Good. And rest. Good. Okay, next we're going to take our other hand now, so the hand that we first started with. We're going to open our hand like so. So your palm is flat, your fingers are nice and long. You're going to bring all of your fingers in together, almost like imagine I glued your fingers together, including your thumb. And then from here, you're going to imagine you've placed your hand on a glass window, and you're going to keep your fingers and hand on the glass window, and you're just spreading the fingers out on this glass window. And then you're bringing them back in. Kind of like the action of making a snow angel, but just with the hand and fingers, if you know what I mean. So keeping them nice and flat, imagine they're against that glass wall, and you're just going to open the hand. So notice here how I'm opening, but my fingers aren't curling because they're against that imaginary glass window, right? Same thing on the way back in. Fingers are still nice and long. Good. And again, spreading those fingers along that imaginary glass window. And then you're bringing it back in, sliding along that glass window. So your fingers are not curling. They're staying nice and long, including your thumb. Again, imagine you're spreading your fingers along the glass window. Good. And then you're bringing them back in along the glass window. Lovely. Again, opening your hand and closing the hand. So at all times, really imagine that glass window, because that's going to be the difference between you keeping your fingers nice and long and using those little muscles in our hand to spread our fingers and bring them back in without having your fingers bent, because this is different, right? Doing this is not the same, and it's not going to activate the same muscles in your hand. Good. Let's do one more here. Good. And then sliding the fingers back in. Good. Let's try on the other hand. You'll probably find that one hand is going to feel a little bit easier than the other, and that's absolutely fine. Or maybe both hands feel equally hard, which is fine as well, as long as we're really trying to engage the right muscles. Okay, so Palm open, fingers long, so I don't want to see any of the curled fingers. You want the palm nice and long, and you're going to imagine the hand is pressing against a glass window, and you're going to spread the hand along the glass window. Good. Notice how none of my fingers are curling because I'm imagining that glass window. And then I'm sliding the fingers back in together. Good. And again, imagine that glass window. You're sliding the fingers. Good. And then you're bringing it back in, sliding along the glass window. And again, really imagine sliding your fingers and then sliding them back in. Or if you imagine if you had finger paint or hand paint and you're putting your hand on a canvas, you want to spread everything out to make a bit of a colorful shape. And then you're bringing it back in. You can obviously tell I'm not an artist because I don't know. That was just an example. And again, you're opening the hand back up. And you're closing the hand. Good. Let's do 2 more. So really imagine that glass window that you put your hand against, and you're sliding the fingers open. Good. And then you bring them back in. Let's do 1 more here. Opening the hand, and then bring the fingers back in and rest. Good. Other hand. Okay. Now, we're going to have our hand open again, except we're going to have some gap between our fingers. So a bit of air between all of our fingers. From here, we're going to practice our finger and thumb opposition. So start with the hand wide. We're going to bring the tip of our index finger to the tip of our thumb. But notice how when I do that, the rest of my fingers are staying nice and long. So I'm not curling them in. So you want to keep the rest of the finger where they are at all times. And then from here, you're going to open the hand back up. That's it. And then you're going to go middle finger and thumb, trying your best to keep the rest of the fingers open and pointing up if you can. Then you're going to open it back up. Good. Now ring finger and thumb. You'll notice this one, you'll curl a little bit for your middle and little finger, but that's okay as long as you try to keep them pointing out as much as you can. And then you open them back up. Good. Now your little finger is going to come towards your thumb. Keeping your other 3 fingers long. Don't let them come in. Try to keep them pointing outwards. And then you're going to open the hand back up. And we start from the beginning. So we go index finger to thumb, keeping the rest of your fingers up if you can. And then open the hand back up. Good. Now we go middle finger to thumb. Keep the rest of the fingers nice and long, and then we open back up. Good. Now ring finger to thumb. Keep the rest of the fingers open if you can, and we open them back up. Good. Now little finger to thumb. Try to keep the rest of your fingers pointing upwards if you can, and open back up. Good. We're going to go a little bit quicker this time from the beginning. We're going to go index finger. And open, middle finger, and open. So make sure you open back up each time. Ring finger, open, little finger, open. And now see if you can reverse the whole thing. We go little finger, open, ring finger, open, middle finger, open, index finger, open. Again, index finger, open. Good. Middle finger, make sure the rest of the fingers are up, open. Ring finger, open. Little finger, open. And reverse. Little finger, open. Ring finger, open. Middle finger, open, index finger, open, and rest. Good. We're going to switch hands. So same thing here. You're going to have your hand open, your fingers straight, and you're going to have a bit of gap between each of your fingers. So our hands are not together like this, but they're starting with a bit of gap in between. From here, you're going to bring your index finger to your thumb without the other fingers curling in, right? We want to try to keep them up if we can. And then you're going to open your hand back out to where it started. And then we're going to go middle finger to thumb. And then we're going to open it back out again. And then we're going to go ring finger to thumb and open it back out again. Little finger to thumb. Keep the other fingers up and open back out. And then again from the beginning. So we're going index finger to thumb, trying to keep the other fingers upwards if you can, and open. Middle finger to thumb, try to keep the rest of the fingers straight if you can, and open. Ring finger to thumb, and open. Little finger to thumb, open. Good. We're going to go a bit quicker now. So we're going to go index finger to thumb, open. Middle finger to thumb, open. Ring finger to thumb, open. Little finger to thumb, open. Reverse. Little finger to thumb, open. Ring finger to thumb, open. Middle finger to thumb, open. Index finger to thumb, open. One more time. Index finger to thumb. Keep the other fingers up if you can. Open. Middle finger to thumb, open. Ring finger to thumb, open. Little finger to thumb, open. Reverse. Little finger to thumb, open. Ring finger to thumb, open. Middle finger to thumb, open. Index finger to thumb, open, and rest. Good. Okay. We're going to grab our towel now. So you should have your tea towel beside you. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the towel and you're going to hold on to the corner. So the corner of the towel with one hand. It doesn't matter which hand because we'll do both. Now you can either have your hand up in the air like this, or you can have it against a table, whichever feels a little bit better for you, as long as you're trying to challenge your finger dexterity movements, right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to hold on to the corner of the towel. From here, trying to keep your palm facing down at all times. So I don't want to see any of our hands turn upwards. Keep your palm down. You're going to use your fingers and thumbs to try to scrunch up this towel into as small of a ball as you can into the palm of your hand. So you can see that this is probably quite difficult when you're not doing it against your body. So if you were doing it against your body or against a table, it's a lot easier. So if you were to do this, that's a lot easier than if you were to do it freehand. But we're going to do the freehand version if we can. So you're holding on to the corner of a towel and you're going to try to scrunch up that towel into your hand, into a small ball with the fingers. So you can see that the smaller the towel, the easier, because the less fabric you have to grab. Good. And once you've gotten into as small a ball as you can and you can't do anymore, you're just going to shake it back out. And we're going to restart again using the corner of the towel to start with. Going to use your fingers and you're going to pull the fabric into your hand, trying to scrunch up the towel into as small of a ball as you can. So remember, if your palm is down, it's harder, because if I turn my hand and I'm doing this, then I'm using gravity to help me put it into my hand, but if your palm is down, it's a lot more difficult. Good, and again, remember, whenever you've gotten to the point where you can't scrunch the towel up anymore, then you shake it back out, and then we repeat again. So same hand the whole time, right? And you'll probably notice here that I'm using my fingers to pull the fabric in, and then my thumb comes and holds that in while my other fingers get to work again. So you can do this in whichever way you feel you're able to. But basically what I'm looking for here is for the fingers to have separate movements. They're not all just moving together, right? You want all the fingers to move separately. Well, some of them do move together, but you're trying to use all of your fingers to do the scrunching. So we're not just using like the first two fingers, we're using all of them if we can. Good. Okay, and then we shake it out again. Let's do one more on this side. This one's a pretty hard one. You can see even I'm having trouble pulling it in. Good. And we shake it out. We're gonna try the same thing on the other side. So you're still holding the corner of the towel with your other hand, and then you're gonna use all of your fingers and thumbs, and you're gonna try to pull the fabric of the towel up into your palm, into as small of a ball as you can. So you're scrunching up the towel as much as you can using all of your fingers. And again, if having your hand up in the air is too hard, feel free to do this against the table if you would like. But of course, it's a lot easier if you were to try to put your hand against something and scrunch up versus if it was just in the air. And when you can't scrunch up anymore, you're going to shake out the towel and restart at the corner of the towel. Good. So again, for this, it's not about speed. You're doing it at your own time. And you'll probably find the quicker you try to go, the worse your dexterity is, because things just get, the amplitude just gets smaller and smaller and smaller until you're not moving at all. So it's almost better to do it slow. Good. So remember to shake out the towel after you've done scrunching, so then you can restart. I bet people with big towels are now regretting it now. The smaller the towel, the easier. Although if you did want to give yourself a challenge, absolutely, use a bath towel. You just might be there for a while. Good. Keep those fingers moving, trying to separate those fingers as much as you can. And we're going to do one more on this hand. Last one in your own time. Good. And shake it out. Good. And you can put your towel aside now. Okay. Next, we're going to grab our pillow. So here's mine, you can see. It's a pretty small cushion size, but it doesn't really matter what size you've got. The smaller, the easier it is for you to do it. So you're going to hold on to both ends of the pillow like so. So on either side, it could be a corner if you like. It doesn't matter as long as your hands are not together. I want them separate like this, okay? And what you're going to do here, so your fingers are nice and spread, your thumbs on the other side. And from here, you're going to use both hands and you're going to squeeze the pillow as much as you can. Almost imagine the pillow is soaking wet and you're using your hand, you're squeezing it to let the water come out the bottom. And then you're going to release it. And then we're going to do that again. You're squeezing the pillow. Almost imagine you're wringing some water out of it without actually doing the wringing movement. You're just squeezing water out of it. And then you're going to release again. Again, squeezing the pillow, almost like you're squeezing some water out of it. And then you're opening again. And again, you're squeezing and open. And you'll probably notice as you're doing this, you probably find that one hand is squeezing more than the other, and the other one might kind of be squeezing, but kind of not. Try to get both hands to squeeze an equal amount if you can, and open. One more here. Squeezing and release. Okay. We're going to turn the pillow to the other side now, because if you're like me, the pillow has shrunk a little bit. We're going to just move our hand to the other side, and we're going to still do the same thing. Squeezing the pillow, trying to almost flatten it as much as you can so that your hands are touching as much as you can, and then you open it back out. Again, you're squeezing and you're pushing inward so your hands are touching together, and then you're releasing it back out. Okay, and again, you're squeezing, pushing your hands together, and release. Let's do two more. Squeezing, bringing the hands together as much as you can, and release. One last one. Bring the hands together, squeeze, and release. Good. Okay, now, still keep the pillow where it is. We're just going to place it down on the table, like so. So you can see my pillow here. Okay, from here, we're going to take one hand. We're going to take the thumb of one of your hands, and you're going to put it in the middle of the pillow. And you're going to press down into the pillow as hard as you can, almost like you're trying to touch the table underneath through this pillow. See how far down you can press your thumb. Good. And then you're going to release it back out. Okay. You're going to use your index finger now. Flatten your hand out if you can. Index finger, you're pressing down as hard as you can into the pillow, trying to touch the table underneath. And lift it back up. Now your middle finger is going to go, same thing, pressing that middle finger down as hard as you can, almost like you're trying to touch that table underneath through the pillow. And then you bring it back up. Now ring finger, same thing, pressing through the pillow, trying to get it down towards the table as far as you'll go. And back up. Good. Now little finger. Little finger pressing down into the pillow. You're trying to get that little finger towards the table as much as you can, like you're trying to touch that table. And then you're releasing it back out. We're going to do that again. Thumb going down, pressing down with the thumb. Trying to touch that table. And then you're releasing it back up. Index finger pressing down, trying to touch that table. And you're releasing it back up. Middle finger, trying to touch that table. Squeeze that pillow down, almost like you're flattening it down. And then you're releasing it back up. Good. Ring finger, trying to press down into that table as much as you can. And you're bringing it back up. Now little finger, pressing it down into the pillow. Trying to flatten that pillow towards the table as hard as you can. And back up. Good. Again, last time, thumb pressing down into the pillow, through that pillow to touch that table. And back up. Index finger pressing down through that pillow to the table. And back up. Good. Middle finger going down. Really pressing into that pillow as hard as you can. And back up. Good. Ring finger pressing down. And back up. Good. Little finger pressing down towards the table. And back up. And switch hands. Okay, same thing. You're going to flatten out your hand to start with if you can. We're going to start with the thumb. You're going to press the thumb down into the pillow, almost like you're trying to touch that table through the pillow. And back up. Good. Index finger. Same thing, pressing down into the pillow, like you're trying to touch that table. See if you can touch that table through the pillow. And bring it back up. Good. Middle finger, pressing down into that pillow, trying to touch that table. And bring it back up. Good. Now ring finger, pressing down into that pillow, trying to touch that table through the pillow. Good. And back up. Good. Now little finger, pressing it down into the pillow without locking your finger, right? So you don't want it to be straight. You want it to be slightly bent. Good. Let's start from the beginning. Thumb pressing down towards the table as hard as you can. And bring it back up. Index finger, same thing, pressing down into that pillow, trying to touch the table through the pillow. And bring it back up. Middle finger, pressing down into the pillow, trying to touch that table. Bring it back up. Ring finger, pressing down into the pillow, trying to touch that table if you can. Bring it back up. Little finger, pressing down. Good. And coming back up. Let's do one more. Thumb, pressing down into the pillow. And back up. So remember, you're trying to touch that table through the pillow. Good. Back up. Middle finger, pressing down into the table. Back up. Ring finger, pressing down into the table. Back up. Little finger, pressing down into the table. And bring it back up. Okay, this time, switch hands, keeping your hands flat on the pillow. What you're gonna do now is you're gonna think about your fingertips being attached to the pillow at all times. So imagine I took some sticky glue and I stuck your fingertips down on the pillow. The rest of your hand is not connected to the pillow, just the tips of your fingers. And you're going to dome your hand up, almost like a gush of wind has come underneath your hand and it's pulling the hand up. And then you're spreading the hand back down. Good. So you're doming your hand. Back up and down. Good. So your fingertips are attached to the pillow at all times, but your palm is not. So it's kind of like a parachute. You're thinking about the shape of a parachute with your hand. And bring it back down. Good. And again, so my fingers are a little bit bent at the top, but they're still relatively long, relatively straight. Good. You're doming that hand. You're using the small muscles in the middle of your hand to do this movement. Good. Let's do one more. Doming that hand, keeping the fingertips attached to the pillow and coming back down. Good. We're going to switch hands. Same thing on the other side. Hand flat if you can. Imagine the fingertips glued to the pillow. And from here, you're going to imagine a gush of wind has come and blown up and lifted your palm off the pillow, but your fingertips are still attached. And then it's coming back down. And again, create that gush of wind underneath your hand. So you're doming the hand and back down. Again. Good. So really trying to keep those fingertips on the pillow as much as you can. So it's just the shape of the hand lifting off. Let's do 2 more. Doming of the hand. So think about like a parachute or the movement of a jellyfish in water even. Good. And rest. Good. We can put our pillow away. We're going to come back with our hand dexterity movement. So we're going to have our hand up. You can put your arm onto a table or your lap if you'd like to support the arm. And we're going to go through our number 1 to 5 of our hand that we did last time. So you're going to make the number 1 with your hand by sticking up your index finger and curling the rest of your fingers down. Good. And then from here, you're going to do number 2. Bring your middle finger up, the rest of the fingers down, trying to keep that space between the 2 fingers. Good. And then you're going to go number 3. Still extending all those fingers. Imagine rays of light coming out of the end of each finger. You're going to do the number 4. Good. And then number 5. Good. And we start again from the beginning. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and back down. Again, 1, 2. So notice my thumb is always curled in over the fingers. 3, 4, 5. Good. Again, a little bit quicker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we reverse. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Again from the beginning. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and reverse. Go 4, 3. So notice my thumb is always on the outside. 2, 1. One more time from the beginning. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and reverse. We go 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Good. Other hand. Okay, same thing. We're going to go for number 1. So notice my thumb is always on the outside of the other fingers that are not being used. 2, creating that nice gap between the fingers. 3, 4, that's it, trying to spread out the fingers. Imagine the rays of light coming out of the end of the fingers. And 5. Good. Again, from the top, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. From the beginning again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Again, 1, 2, 3. Trying to straighten those fingers as much as you can. 4, 5. And then we try to reverse. We go 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. From the beginning, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and reverse. We go 4, 3, 2, 1. Last time. You can do it faster if you like, or you can do it slower. It's entirely up to you. As long as you try to keep those fingers straight when they're pointing up. 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Good. When you get quicker, you can then do it a lot faster. But if you feel like some of the stuff is too fast, don't worry. You can slow it down, because remember, the faster we move, the smaller the amplitude gets, and then eventually we're not moving at all. So it's almost better when you do it slower to really separate the fingers and get the dexterity. Okay, so last little bit, we're gonna do some shoulder blades. So I'm going to bring our arms in front if you can. If you can't, you can bring them down lower. That's absolutely fine. Palms down. You're going to squeeze your shoulder blades together and pull your elbows back. So you're using your shoulder blades. You're pulling your shoulder blades in together like that, okay? So your shoulders are down away from the ears. Pulling those shoulder blades back. And straighten the arms. Good. Again, pull those shoulder blades back. And straighten the arms. Good. Again, pull those shoulder blades back. So those shoulder blades they're what's going to get us in a nice tall position where we're not slouching through our upper back. We're nice and tall and open through our chest. Because you can probably imagine, as soon as we arch like this and our shoulders are turned forward, there's no way we can move our arms very far, and then therefore the dexterity and the power in our hand also goes out the window a little bit. One more. Good. And arms down. This time you're going to go shoulders shrugging up to your ears, squeezing as hard as you can up towards the ears. Pull them back behind the ears and drop them down. Again, up to the ears. Pull them back behind the ears, but still upwards, and drop. Good. Again, up to the ears. Pull them back and drop. Okay. Now we're going to bring our hands together like so. We're going to separate our elbows and bring our hands to our chest, to our breastbone, elbows pointing out to the side, shoulders down. From here, we're going to turn our breastbone to one side. So you're giving yourself a bit of a rotational stretch in your back, but you're still sitting up nice and tall. So don't want to see any of this stuff happening. You want to sit up nice and tall. Good. And you're going to rotate back in the middle. So your hands are attached to your breastbone. So you're turning with the breastbone. Good. Elbows still up. And bring yourself back. One more each side. So really stretch, rotate through that spine. Good. Last time, other side. Good. And rest. Okay, from here, we're going to take our wrist. We're going to put our hands in together. We're just going to draw some figures of 8 using our wrist. Or you can think about your fingertips, drawing figure of 8 as well. So the main point is you're keeping your palm together, your hands together as you're rotating and trying to draw that figure of 8 with your hands. Try not to pull your fingers apart. Keep them together. And the bigger you can move, the better. Good. Let's do one more. And rest. Good. You're going to take one of your arms forward. The other hand is going to grab hold of your elbow. And then the hand that's grabbing the elbow is going to bring that elbow towards the opposite shoulder, the opposite armpit. And that way you're stretching the outside of your shoulder. If this hurts a little bit, you can bring it down, or you can have it not as far towards the shoulder. That's absolutely fine. Stretching the outside of the shoulder. And bring the hand back down. Other side. So you're grabbing hold of the elbow of one of your hands, and you're going to pull the elbow towards the opposite shoulder, the opposite armpit, dropping the shoulder down to really feel that stretch on the side of your shoulder. Good. And rest. Hands together, like so. You're going to spread the fingers. Let me go sideways so you can see. You're going to spread the fingers open, and then you're going to bring them back in. So notice at all times my palms are together. I'm not lifting them apart. So you want to keep your hands together. You're spreading them out. Bring them back in. So you're spreading the fingers out. Bring them back in. Spreading the fingers out. Bring them back in. One more. Spreading the fingers out. Bring them back in. Okay, now you're going to keep your fingers apart like so. You're going to dome in the middle. So you're going to think about big gush of wind pulling your palms apart, but your fingertips are still attached. Good. Again, pulling the palm apart, but your fingertips are still attached. Again, palm apart, but fingertips still attached. Again, palm apart, fingertips still attached. Good. Okay, last little bit. This time, our fingers are going to stay together. Our palms are going to stay apart, and you're going to tap each of your fingers apart. So you're going to start with the thumb. You're going to pull the thumbs apart, but the rest of the hand stay where it is, and then bring the thumb together again. Index finger apart. Index finger together, middle finger apart, middle finger together, ring finger apart, ring finger together, little fingers apart, little fingers together, and flatten that dome. Again, we dome up, we go thumb and together, index, together, middle, together, ring, together, little finger, together, and flatten. One more time. We dome, we go thumbs apart, thumbs together, index finger apart, index finger together, ring finger apart, ring finger together. Or sorry, I said ring. That was middle finger apart, middle finger together, ring finger apart, ring finger together, little finger apart, little finger together, and then flatten the dome. Good. And that's it. You are done. It is 3 o'clock almost. Okay, so hopefully session 2 of the hand and dexterity workshop, hopefully it was some fun, but hopefully it was also a little bit challenging. There is the handout in the handout tab if anybody wants to download that. It's got the exercises from some of the things that we've done today, but also some of the things that we've done from last week. And you can use those as a way to practice in between the class if you would like to. But I suppose the main takeaway in terms of improving your hand and dexterity function is really to practice, practice, practice. So if you have a lot of issues turning your key in the door, practice turning the key in the door. So it's about repetition, trying to get your fingers to be able to move separately rather than everything moving sort of together. You want to have that that ability to separate your fingers and move them and control them in different ways. There's a comment that says, seems better to have a square pillow. Yeah, you can have a square pillow, or if it was circular pillow, that's fine too. So imagine if I didn't have the corners and it was circular, that's fine as well. It's just whatever you have at home. I'm trying to make this as equipment free as possible so that you can use household items to help you with these dexterity movements. Well, hopefully everybody had some fun. Hopefully your hands are tired and your fingers are a little bit tired. They do get quite tired relatively easily compared to the rest of our body. So you'll do, only 2 times of each thing and you're like, oh gosh, my hand's really sore. So these muscles don't tend to get worked that much. And I think a lot of the times when we talk about exercise in Parkinson's, we focus a lot on the global stuff. So on the leg strength, on the posture, on whatever else, but we don't want to forget about the little muscles we have in our fingers, and well, I guess our feet as well. Just the little fingers we also need to work on in order to keep them as mobile as possible, because we use our fingers for a lot of things. We hold on to cups to drink, we feed ourselves with our fingers, we brush our hair, we wash our face, we brush our teeth, lots of things that we do with our hands. So really important to keep the fingers and hands nice and active. So thank you guys very much for joining us. I don't see any questions, but I see lots of great comments. So thank you guys very much for joining us in the class. Next week is going to be our 3rd session, and we'll be doing similar things as today, but adding on a little bit. So still have your towel and still have your pillow ready if you can. And then, oh, okay, there's a question that says, hopefully helps tremor. Yeah, so the stronger your muscles, so the more you're able to contract your muscles, the potential for less of a tremor, yes, because the majority of the tremor that you see in Parkinson's happen to be resting tremor. Of course, not every tremor you get is a resting tremor. There could definitely be other forms of tremors as well, but because the majority of the tremor you see in Parkinson's is a resting tremor, meaning when your muscles are relaxed, you tremor more. So if you're able to contract the muscles and have maybe a higher resting tone of the muscle, then potentially, yes, it can help with the tremor. Okay, well, thank you guys very much, and I will see you next week on Thursday, same place, same time. And don't forget to download the handout in this webinar platform if you would like to practice in between the sessions. If you can't see the handout, don't worry, send us an email and we can always email the handout to you guys as well. Perfect. Thanks, you guys. I will see you next week on Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your week and have a great weekend. Bye.